Hey, 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 it's TCS Podcast Day, and it's going to be a fun one, even though the topic for some of you, you may not even know what it is or may not think it's the funnest, but to me, it's the most fun because if you can get this COGS, cost of goods sold, right, you can go out and have more fun because you're going to make a lot more money in your cleaning business and you're going to be able to hire a lot more people and retire a lot sooner. So, episode 12, the most important KPI in your cleaning business, COGS, cost of goods sold. This episode, I'm Holly Moore with TCS, owner and founder. I also own a residential cleaning service for the past 17 years called Maids and More. I'm proud to say that we are almost set to hit 10 million this year, but we are hoping to get there, and we're going to get very close. So I know all about COGS. I've been in the COG world for a long time trying to battle them. I'm going to go ahead and admit and say that I had a COG problem. Literally, I had a COG problem. We were like up to 60 and 70% on our COGS and not making much money that what we should have. And it was very irritating because when you're grossing that much income, when you're grossing that much revenue, you should really be bringing in some dough, and we weren't. And the problem is in our COGS, and it's one of the hardest ones to fix. And so I'm excited about the topic, and I'm even more excited about our guest. We brought on an expert, Best Damn Bookkeeping. He is the geek when it comes to numbers, but he is actually a lot of fun, Dan Plata. So thank you.
Just a weirdo that likes beer, likes numbers, and likes yapping about small business. Although this is a whiskey today. I'm throwing everybody off. This isn't even a beer. It's a whiskey and Coke.
I'm drinking unsweet tea.
Yeah, water.
I saw Todd drinking water. I had to make sure he was okay. Yeah.
The next is I have Todd and Pamela Northcutt. I always mess that up. With TMP Cleaning out of Abilene, Texas. I've known them for years. They're actually a TCS customer and one of the most efficient companies I've ever seen dive into COGS. Like, I don't know how many conversations we've had and helped each other try to figure out how to lower them. So I couldn't have had a better cleaning company on. And plus, I'm hope I don't make any enemies, but they're kind of some of my favorites. So it is time for you guys. I want y'all to introduce yourself. Just give me a quick intro. How'd you get into the cleaning business? I'm gonna let Pam and Todd go first. How'd you get in the cleaning business? And then tell me something funny or an unexpected moment in your business journey that still makes you laugh.
So I started the business 7 years ago, and the main reason is because I like to be able to help others out. And I feel that that's a great way to give families and friends back their time to spend with their kids, their family, enjoying life, because that's what it's about.
Awesome.
Funny story. I was doing landscaping, and I received a phone call from my wife here, and she says, I think I want to start my own cleaning company. And I was like, it's fine with me. I'll never have to do it. And here I am now on a podcast with founder of the software that we use. I'm with Dan. Usually when I'm with Dan, I'm drinking a beer, but I never thought I would have anything at all to do with the cleaning business, and yet here we are today.
Roped you right in.
Yep.
That's so you went from landscaping to cleaning,
Yep.
and here you are worried about COGS. What an exciting life.
It's amazing how often I talk about COGS and everything. I never thought I'd be talking about it like I do now, but it's like, needs to be talked about every day.
Hey, you know what though? It's important. And the best thing is that you get to work with your beautiful wife every day, which I'm sure that's probably a super plus.
It is the best part of the job.
All right. And Dan, how did you get into the bookkeeping space? How did you come up with your name also? Because that's a pretty Best Damn Bookkeeping is awesome name. And then you got to tell us something that'll make us laugh about your journey.
My whole journey is just one big ass accident. It's just like, like so many of us kind of stumbled our way through some things and you're like, oh, here I am. I left the corporate world 2016, and this was like by design, multiple years in the works. I left the corporate world to help my buddy run a window cleaning business. And we had a group of businesses and we had just started buying maid service businesses, but everything was through acquisition. And so I got to take the first crack at starting one up from scratch. At one point in time, we had like 100 employees around the country. Not bragging, this was miserable. I don't recommend this at all. We were in like 7 different locations, maid service, window cleaning, pressure washing, holiday lights. I was miserable. I sucked at it. Eventually that parlayed, because I'm an accounting nerd, it parlayed into me doing all of our books, which was kind of how I got sucked into it in the first place, to helping other people with their books, to realizing like, I got no business running maid service businesses around the country. Plus I have 3 little kids, and flying around to like put out fires in different locations wasn't great for me. So I just started focusing on the bookkeeping stuff, had a fallout with my partners in that old business. And so started Best Damn Bookkeeping 2 years ago. So that's how I got here to Best Damn Bookkeeping. And it had to be Best Damn Bookkeeping because it had to be fun. Like, bookkeeping is just so lame and boring by its nature. I'm not like, yes, I'm a bookkeeper. I'm not so naive to think that other people think bookkeeping's fun too. I know y'all think it's boring, except for COGS. COGS is gonna be fun after today. My funny story though, I like, so many of my funny stories are just back to running our maid service businesses because I was so tremendously terrible at it. Usually the COGS side of it. I just think everybody's going to be an awesome employee. I've gotten a lot better at this, but when I first started, everybody that interviewed, I just thought they were going to be lights out, the best cleaner in the world, super reliable, show up every day. And I just would give them so long of a leash. And there was this gal, I think her name was Brittany. This was like one in my first like 5 employees. And I'm just trying to get started. You know, I'm selling some jobs, getting houses on the books. She showed up late to her interview. I still hired her because I was a friggin' moron. She showed up late on like the first 2 days. By the 3rd day, I'm like, we got an initial clean, and I'm calling her and trying to like chase her down. And I'm cleaning with her that day. So I'm like, Brittany, where the hell are you? And she's like, oh, I'm just around the corner. Like, we played that game for an hour that she was just around the corner. It was like, what corner? This corner must be a long ways away from the office because I'm staring down the road and I do not see you coming. Like, oh no. And like 5 minutes later, she texts me back. She's like, no, I'm and finally she showed up. Like, she got dropped off by somebody. So I think I woke her up is probably what really happened. No, she did have her own car because we did go out to the job, but she asked to drive her own car. And I was like, that's weird. Why would you need to drive your own car? But sure, like whatever. And we're cleaning, and we're not an hour into this clean. And I'm kind of like lecturing her a little bit, like, hey, I need, like, this is when we start our day. Our clients know we show up at 8. So I need you at the office at 7 so we can get our stuff and get to the first house by 8. And then she's like, hey, I'm really hungry. I didn't get to eat breakfast. I got to go out to my car and get a granola bar. And so I'm like, yeah, sounds good. I'll just keep, doing all the work here. And I'm like still cleaning, and I look out and I just see her tailpipes going away. I just was like, oh man, that granola bar must be a long ways away. Like, I wonder, maybe she forgot that around the corner too. But I just remember just thinking like, God, I'm such a sucker. Like, what am I doing putting up with this stuff? And when you figure out how to not have employees like that, back to the cost of goods sold thing, like, it changes your business. When you can get COGS right, it is table stakes. Like, if you want to be a happy business owner and have a successful business, you got to get your COGS right. Or you're going to be Dan waiting for an hour for a cleaner who leaves the first job to go get a granola bar from somewhere that was apparently a long ways away. Holly, you're probably saying something right now, but you're on mute, so I can't hear anything you're saying.
That's right. Okay, my bad. I was on mute because I don't know how the caption is on and it's going right over Todd and Pam's face. So I was trying to get the caption off. So I'm not on mute anymore. She's on delay. She goes, you're on mute. I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm going to be fine. Okay. So just real quick, my funniest story is I was a school teacher, and I'm sure y'all have all heard this story. But I came home and I was like, I'm quitting teaching school. And my husband was like, really? What are y'all going to do? What are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to start a home cleaning business. And he looked around and he was like, what? And then he goes, how about you start cleaning this one and then we'll talk about it. And I'm like, no, I think I'm still pissed off about that to this day. So I'm like, watch this, even though he might've had to throw a shoe or two thrown at him. But that's my funny story. And then I could go on for days about actual in-field stories I think we could get together and write a book, honestly.
Oh, they're never ending.
Never ending. So let's get into it. What exactly are COGS in the context of the residential cleaning business? And I'm gonna let Dan answer that first question. And then if you want to, just let me know when you want me to pull up that slide that I have. You want me to pull it up? Or wait?
Wait a second, because I want to answer it in like a larger context, and we'll hone in on maid service.
Mm-hmm.
But like for bookkeeping and we do a ton of maid service businesses, but we do HVAC companies and we do lawn care and landscaping and pest control, right? We do all the home services. And so theoretically, cost of goods sold, think about the term, the only difference is we're not selling goods, but it's the cost of the sale. What all goes in to directly produce our revenue. And so theoretically, think about it that way. In maid service, now Holly, throw the slide time. In maid service, our direct costs are mostly labor, right? It's the wages and the payroll taxes that go along with it. If you do some reimbursements, we used to do a lot of reimbursements to try to avoid some payroll taxes, because reimbursements don't get payroll tax. So it's like a sneaky way to pay employees. So there you see in green, the first three, the payroll taxes and like mileage reimbursements. We did some phone reimbursements. Anything we could call a reimbursement as a means of getting more money to our cleaners that didn't get payroll tax and saved us all a few bucks, we would try to do. And then I look at it too as like, okay, well, what are the tools that those people are going to need to go execute? So they're going to need some vacuums and some cleaning supplies. And even then it's, well, how do you get paid after you do it? Because normally we don't go out and like clean a house. We're like, oh, Mrs. Jones, don't worry about this one. Like, no, we had to pay the employees. And so in turn, we got to get paid. And we either need to pay Visa or we got to pay somebody to run a check around or whatever the case is. Like getting paid costs money. And again, if we can like look at a job and say it cost us this to go do that job, then it's part of cost of goods sold. And so merchant processing goes in there. On the slide here, we've got breakage. I've cleaned many a house and I'm the worst at breakage. I'm like a bull in a china shop. And that's, if you have humans and they're out cleaning stuff, that's part of the cost of running a cleaning company. You're going to break some stuff. Hopefully it's always a bummer when it's like, oh, you scratched a stove. Oh, it was a $5,000 stove. That's nice. That's a good one. Let's get rid of those green Scotch-Brite pads. Didn't we get rid of those already? Let's throw those out. And the last one here in blue, workers' comp, there's always, anytime you're talking like bookkeeping stuff, there's always some gray areas where it's like, man, you could kind of argue this or you can kind of argue that. And I'm not going to argue either way. I generally include workers' comp and cost of goods sold. As our business scaled, I wanted to hold our production managers accountable to that, and COGS was how we held them accountable. And we got set up on a workers' comp program where we could pay monthly based on our revenue. So it was directly tied to our production. Like it was based on the revenue. And let's face it, when we get a workers' comp bill, it's 95% accountable to the team in the field, not the team in the office. And so we would look at that as part of cost of goods sold. So again, everything on the screen here is just all the things it takes to go out and produce that job and get paid for it. And it's so critical because if you get it right, you have money left to like invest in your business in other areas and maybe make a profit too. Man, if you screw this thing up, Holly, you said it earlier, it's like if your COGS get sideways, it's miserable running a business. Like it's just not even fun. You're working so hard and you have a bunch of employee problems and you don't get to make any money. That's just not super fun. I did that for a while. I did it.
Hey, Dan, Shelly said to turn up your microphone.
Crank it.
Crank it.
Go. How's that? Good?
Much better.
Or I could just talk louder too.
Well, I work with a lot of cleaning services every day, and I even consult on some of them. And this is kind of a question that comes up a lot too. And Dan, I work with a lot of your clients, and I'm like, thank gosh, when I get a Best Damn Bookkeeping client, because I'm like, oh, they have it all done for them. Now they know, but they know exactly what they are and how they're broken down. But everybody does it different. Like if you're in CBF, it's going to be, they just want you to look at 1 and 2. Totally fine, as long as you're measuring it, right? Technically speaking, 1 through 7 could be your COG that you measure, or you could just use 1 through 6. Or you could use 1 through 3. It's totally up to you. Whatever you pick as your variables that you are looking at within your COG, just stay consistent upon it. Because if you obviously just say, oh, I don't want to use breakage as a COG anymore, then it's, your COG, you can't really compare your apple to apple from the month before. So just keep that in mind as like, decide what you're going to use as your COGS, keep with it, and then start measuring it. That's the number one thing I see, because I ask companies, they start telling me about something, and then I'm like, what's your COG? And they're like, what? And I'm like, what are your COGS? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, uh-oh. Starting point. Starting point. So that leads me into my next question. with you guys seeing this slide, do y'all want me to leave this up or take it down? Let me know. TMP, how did you, because you were, y'all were starting in Abilene in a small town, and I know that y'all were part of CBF, and how did you first learn about COGS, and when did it click that it was so important to track it? Like, when did all that click for you?
I would say that was not until like 21, 22, after we had joined in with CBF and trying to figure out our numbers, what we were really tracking. And that's where, and just learning more about it, and then getting in with Dan. He did our bookkeeping and taught us more. So learning from Dan and Skip. Skip is our go-to guy, and has been from day one since we signed up with him. And then,
like, I've battled with COGS kind of because there's the model that we're taught in CBF, and I love the model and it keeps us there. But how could supplies not be in that, in my opinion? So, like last year, we really focused on expenses outside of salary, like outside of COGS, like how can we affect that? And January 1 this year is when I switched to COGS. And what can I do to impact that to make the company more profitable? So it's kind of like we went around COGS and we're in a lot of people's version of COGS last year, but just focused on a small portion. And this year, we really dove into the whole thing and what it means and how it affects everything on a day-to-day basis. She's muted talking to Michelle.
Sorry, I'm driving me nuts. I want that caption off y'all's face. I want to see your faces. And on Facebook, there's a caption that's going right over y'all. Everything we're saying, your like line is right here, but it's fine. We'll fix it.
You got the better guy up top anyway. It's okay. You just put the captions on me, everybody'd be happy.
I do totally agree with that. And I think that like it's your decision, like whether you're in CBF or whether you're in whatever, profit builders or core profit, all the different coaching programs. They all teach numbers, and you have to know your numbers. Even if you're not in a coaching program, just pick what you want to go with as your cog and measure it. And I have this question very often, and Dan, I'm going to throw this one back at you, because I am, if anybody who knows me, like maybe a little bit on the spectrum as far as like numbers are concerned. And I love them. Like I live, breathe, eat them. They make me excited. Like I stay up working on Excel sheets for fun. I know I have issues, but not everybody is like me, right? So I run my own cash flows. I just do the QuickBooks is for the thing that frustrates me. And me and you have had this conversation, Dan, is that QuickBooks, it looks in the past, right? Like it's like, okay, this is what happened financially. Well, my QuickBooks is like, yeah, this is for the tax man. Like he can look at this QuickBooks file. For me, I wanted something that looked at it not only in the past, but how could it help me in the future and help me project? So this is what I find very interesting about the way that Dan does his bookkeeping is those people who aren't dorks that stay up at night working on Excel sheets. They have no clue where to start. Like they're like, COGS sounds good. I don't know what mine are, but how do I do that? There's no way I'm going to sit up with an Excel sheet and create formulas and log my transactions and make sure everything balances. Like no, I'm not doing that. So that's when we're going to go to an expert like Dan, and he's going to hook you up and explain to me, like, when you're with a client, like, how do you get them from a person who is like, I don't even know any, like, they're not a bookkeeping mind, they're not a financial mind, they're a creative entrepreneur that's good with networking and socializing and talking, they have no idea about numbers. And so they come to you for help. How do you get them to how do you get somebody who doesn't want to actualize numbers, doesn't like numbers, doesn't want to know numbers, and then make them talk COGS?
So I try to make it not boring, because like again, bookkeeping by its nature sucks. It's just lame, boring. Nobody likes it. So you got to like get some sex appeal in there, have some fun with it, and I boil it down into just like 5 line items. Because people get scared when you start saying profit and loss and balance sheet, and they see just a grid of numbers. Business owners will run and hide. And so we just boil it into 5 groups of numbers, and then we color code it. red, yellow, and green. So you don't even need to look at the number. You can just look at the color, but at least you get the sense of it. And when we report it back to people, we report it with a video now so that they don't even have to read it themselves, right? We can put them to sleep reading it to them. I had and I don't even do books for this guy. One of my good buddies has a sewer and drain cleaning business, a few $1 million sewer and drain cleaning business in Minneapolis, and like had no idea how to organize his books. I went and sat with him and his wife, and his wife was like helping him with the books, and it was doing a good job, but they didn't know how to organize it. And Ben, super great dude, but like the classic dude, exactly what you're talking about, Holly, like would not look at his numbers, would just avoid it. Like, do we have money in the bank account was his number, right? And I showed him in QuickBooks how you can like open up a P&L and condense everything, and we regrouped it, and he could just see 5 things and know that the target for these 5 things, just like you had up on the screen, like your cost of goods sold target, 57%. And he could just see that number and then know what the percentage should be. And he just had to look at 5 things. And he's like, oh my God, I only need to look at 5 things. Like even I can look at 5 things and I know what they need to be and they're color coded. So when we start working with somebody, like for us, the first thing is to organize it. Because usually when we take over a set of QuickBooks, it's organized to what you said, Holly, which is like, this is for the tax person. So the first thing we do is organize it for the finance person that can make decisions with it. It's always still backward looking, but once we get it organized, then you can use it a little more forward looking.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's caught up, cleaned up, and we actually know stuff is landing in the right spot, then we start doing the reporting. And if we see COGS is off, and I'm like, and Todd and Pam probably hear this from Skip, or maybe not because their COGS isn't off, but if we see COGS is off, when COGS is off, it's only like one of 3 things all the time, which is either you're not charging enough, right? Your revenue is too low for what it costs you to produce it. You're turning a bunch of employees over. Training's really freaking expensive. Or you have a pay mismatch, meaning you pay your employees hourly, but you charge your clients by square footage. Like if you don't charge your clients hourly, but you pay your employees hourly, you get this risk mismatch where you can't pass along the cost and you as the business owner have all the risk. And so pay per performance, I had 2 calls today teaching people and helping them set up pay per performance. One was a window cleaning guy. The other was a lawn care person. But it's like, if you can get that risk mitigated and you're not the one burdened by that risk, if you get those 3 things right, you charge enough, you don't turn employees over, and you price and price the labor correctly and price the job correctly, your cost of goods sold becomes like clockwork. You can almost guarantee it. And then business gets to be a lot more fun.
Yeah, it does. I remember looking at ours and like I broke it down macro at first. Like, why in the heck is Austin? It was crazy because like Houston, one of my locations, was like at 51%. And then Austin was like 70%. So I was like, that's it. And one of it was in training, having too many trainees. So we cut down on our trainees and came up with a more affordable training situation to where we didn't have so much cost in training, because it's such a large division that we were just like hire, grow. And then we forgot that it's not only about growth. It's not only about the revenue. It's about the COGS. When you put all 3 of those in one. And then another thing we broke down is we still couldn't get to the bottom of it. I mean, it helped, but we got down to like 60. And so then we started breaking it down like, okay, per day, per job, per labor hour, what did we charge? What did we pay out? And then anything that was paid out over 48 or 49%, it was tagged, and everything we had to figure out why. Why did it go over? Oh, well, because this one had a training. Okay, I get that. Well, let's monitor our trainees, make sure we keep those low. Well, they went over time, didn't request extra time. They got paid for it. Okay, well, let's fix the procedure. Like, they have to request extra time and be approved, or they don't get paid for it, because then we have no opportunity to collect it from the client. And therefore we're taking all the labor risk, and they're getting paid, taking their own sweet freaking time while we're not getting paid. So you look at it from a macro, like your 5 things. And then when the macros aren't right, then you're going to have to go micro, but at least you're not going micro at first. It's when those people get so overwhelmed that they're like, oh my gosh, just to get to those 5 things is hard. It's a lot of work, but Dan's got it figured out. And then look at the 5 things. Then you may need to get with Dan or get with your team and figure out how to break it down and find it. And this is my favorite topic with Todd and Pam. Pam is really good about getting the cleaners, getting everything organized, hiring, taking care of the customers, getting the things scheduled. Todd is what I like to call my analytical person in the background. In this conversation, Pam's like, I don't know if you want me to be on the podcast because Todd does all that, but you do a lot in the fact that you're bringing the revenue, getting it done. And Todd is kind of the one that's analyzing all those numbers in the background. We had recently talked, Todd and Pam, about some little minute changes that you're making to your business that is making a significant impact. And you think about it like, maybe it's $10 a cleaning, $10 a cleaning, 100 cleanings a month, 12 months a year. So I know you have this whole speech prepared, but Pam, before he gets to talking, I want your opinion on the importance of COGS. And I know you read those bookkeeping reports all the time, the bookkeeping report you get from Dan. Like when you open it, I know you immediately look at those measurements and then you give them to me every day just upon proudness. Like I'm not even your consultant, but you're just like, look at my numbers. And I'm like, wow. And I watched the video of Skip and everything. I'm like, this is exciting. And I've been tracking you and y'all have been going up and been doing great because you are really analyzing your numbers. And so many of us just keep ourselves busy doing busy work and not focused on numbers. Every decision, every day does not need to come from a place of emotion or a place of, I want to grow. It needs to come from a place of data. And so you guys, I have seen actually do that. And I just want Pam to say, like, what do you think about coming from that number on data? And then Todd, I'd like for you to go into more of all these tricks you've been doing here lately to save on labor cost. And then I'm sure we're going to get into super fluffy conversations. And this is where it's going to get good for the cleaning industry because y'all are going to be like, ooh, I like that. Like you can change different pay structures, how to pay one times, how to do different things. But Pam, before he starts, what is your importance of numbers and analyzing it? How do you use it on a day-to-day for you when you're running more of the operational side and not concentrated more on the analytical stuff?
Me, I love getting the slide and the numbers and all from Dan and Skip monthly.
Mm-hmm.
I look at first the true colors because that's my first, what are my colors, And then you go in and you start analyzing the numbers. And the way that they break it down has helped us because we can talk about it. It means more to us knowing those numbers. Because prior to that, I had no clue.
That's my question to you. What were y'all doing before you were actually looking at your numbers every month? Were you just like winging it, praying it for the best and be like, I'm working hard. It should be working, right?
Working for free?
Yep. Winging it. We had money in the bank and sometimes it was like, okay, what are we going to do this week?
Mm-hmm.
But just going in and analyzing everything. And last year is when we really started cutting cost on anything and everything that we could. To supplies, finding supplies that was cheaper but still good quality.
Mm-hmm.
So using our cleaning product, the Household Thieves, going to Envirolux. That saves a lot of money. Vacuum cleaners, that is a big hit, but finding better vacuum cleaners that are not really cheaper but better quality. So just looking at things that we didn't need and analyzing and being able to cut cost, I think that was a big change for us.
Sorry on the echo there. I accidentally played the live. Keep going.
So I think, him just going in and analyzing where we can cut things that we don't need we cut, I can't even remember.
A ton.
But we cut a ton of things that you don't need. You don't have to buy everything that you see. What a lot of people think.
Can I interject one thing on cost cutting? Because I see it's really easy to like ignore some fluff in your expenses. And Todd, I know you got your list of things to go through. But I want to hit on one thing, because I see people ignore cost cutting because it's not sexy, right? It's way more fun to grow revenue. But the cold hard math is, in a maid service business, we, like, after we pay our own paycheck, our profitability is probably around 10%. Like, to the owner, us, not to the employee, us. The owner, us, makes about 10%. And if you go add $1,000 of revenue, that means you're going to make another $100, right? If you go save $100 a month on a subscription you're not using anymore, or just something that's sliding out the door, well, that's $1,200 a year, right? Like, we're looking at annually. $1,200 a year is the same as selling $12,000 worth of revenue. That was $100 a month for a subscription you forgot about. Is the same as $12,000 worth of revenue. Like, in it, because it goes right back into your pocket, right? And the cool thing about when you save money is that, well, then all of a sudden you have more money to invest in cool shit that helps grow the business, or helps engage your employees, or helps you guys buy some freedom. And so many people just, like, try to outgrow something with, by more revenue, and they ignore this, like, $50 here and $30 there and $40 there. And man, it's like, if you just cut a few things and run, I'm not saying like run lean, but we all have some waste that we forgot about this thing, or forgot about that thing, or have been ignoring this other situation. Man, it's just so advantageous to go after those things and get the money back into your bank account to do sweet shit with.
Well, and number one thing is you have to measure it. Some people aren't even measuring it. And, like, how could you decide if you wanted to hire another management person on your team if you're not measuring it to know that you have the finances to be able to do it? Like, maybe set yourself a goal of, when I hit this revenue and I get to this percentage of management cost, then I can afford to hire another person. We're just like, have pistols out, and we're just like, hire them, hire that, hire this. And then you're like, why am I not making any money? Like, you have to make the decision off of the number. If you don't know the numbers, step one, stop talking. You have no problems until you start measuring your numbers, because there is not a decision that can be made until you know your numbers. And it just drives me crazy when people, one thing I will say about cutting costs, I am that cutter coster person. And we just talked about that sounded funny. Cut the cost and COGS, and then also cut the things and, like, subscriptions and stuff. But be very careful when you go to cut costs in marketing. Don't do that. And don't cut costs in your management costs. If anything, leave your entire extra budget in marketing and management cost. Those two I would try to cut the very last, but that's my last thing about cutting, because I see people slash their marketing budget and then their sales drop, and then I'm like, ugh, don't do that. Like, cut your crazy subscriptions, or cut some dumb bonus program that you have out that the employees don't even appreciate. Cut something else, anything other than marketing, because we need leads. Or if your marketing budget is too high, then maybe your marketing person is wrong, and maybe you need to switch marketing plans or marketing people.
Might be a switch.
More switch,
less of a cut.
Yes. All right, Todd, I'm foaming at the mouth. Let's tell them how we have lowered our COGS on labor, because that's the hardest one.
Well, before I go there, one of the things in cutting costs and finding value in everything is kind of how we met, because not how we met, but how we joined TCS. It was more affordable and worked better for everything that we did, which is enabling me to dive deeper into these numbers and make it, I don't know, where I geek out like Dan on pennies on the dollar. But it all adds up. And I don't know, there's been a couple different ways that I've gone about it recently. One was changing how trainees are paid through a probation period before rolling them to job ticket hour. Which I know goes against a lot of things that we're taught in programs and stuff, but I wasn't having people stick. So now when I'm interviewing and I'm explaining how the pay works, they realize they start here, and in 6 days they get a $2 an hour bump. And at the end of 30 days, they get another $2 bump in pay. They're excited that in 30 days they're getting, raises. They've already got 2 raises in 30 days. So it's changed the perspective of pay. And it's actually saved us some money. And then a lot of talk about admin fees, credit card fees, whatever you want to call it. And everybody was stuck on, a number for it. Like, Let's just say it's $5. We're going to charge a $5 admin fee. I take guitar lessons. If I pay by debit card, it's a $5 extra charge. If I pay cash, I don't have to do it. I never have cash, so he gets an extra $5 every time to cover the credit card processing. But why can't, I came to you and I was like, why can't it be a percentage? And you're like, I don't know, why can't it? And we went back and forth on different ways, and there's different ways you can do it, but TCS has enabled me to, instead of on a one-time clean getting a $5 processing fee from it, I can get a $20 or $25 processing fee from it, admin fee. And it doesn't affect payroll on job ticket hour or anything like that, but it does on percentage
Commission.
pay, on commission. So I got to doing the math, and it's pennies on the dollar is what it is to them, but for us, it's real dollars that affects us in a big way. And I did the math. Like, I always future cast out. I go back 6 months and I go forward 6 months whenever I think I want to change something. I need to know how it affects the bottom line. And by doing what most recent change, it came to what would be like, if we hit the $1 million, it'd be an extra $10,000 a year in profit. So for us this year, we're already at 5, we're hitting 6 and growing. That's $5,000 or $6,000 a year that is just pure profit. People say, why are you worried about 1%? Because that's what that 1% is to $1 million company. That's $10,000. So if I can change something by 1%, maybe push it to 1.5%, maybe even get it to 2%, just the changes in the training program and everything have saved us basically $400 a month. Dan can probably do 400 times 12 really quick. It's 48.
4,800.
I was like, I got it.
But as often as we go through training people and everything, you save $400 per training. I mean, that adds up, especially if they stick with you. If they don't stick with you, it's not as big of a loss. But if they do stick with you, all that money just compounds in the bank account because you saved it and it's there. It never left. And I don't know. I hear a lot of people talking about we have to make big changes to make profit. And you don't. It starts with the little bitty things that you do differently. I mean, you can take it out of COGS and take it to morale and little things you do around the office and everything else. But for COGS, those numbers are set. You know how much you have to spend on supplies. You know what you pay out employees. So how do you affect that? Part of it's in what you charge. Part of it's in admin fees. Part of it's in how you pay. But if you can change it and change your 55% to 53% COGS, I mean, that's major money at the end of the year towards the bottom line. And
Yep.
my mind's just going like this because there's a million things I want to talk about. But
Dude, I know. Me too.
TCS has made it so much easier to focus on the COGS and like the little bitty parts of it, knowing that $5 doesn't sound like much, but it compounds because $5 on one job, there's 20 jobs in a day, $30 depending on the size of your company. Well, that's $100 a day.
Mm-hmm.
You change that to a percentage, and that can be $185 or $238 in a day, depending on the jobs you got going out. So you can double that you save right off the bat just by doing little things.
I know, and it gets so it blows my mind because when I started in the cleaning service industry, I did things a certain way. I've done them the whole time, and I kept my nose to the ground. I didn't pay attention to any of these coaching programs or anybody. I didn't talk to anybody, and I just came in the industry, and I don't know. I think I was at 5 or 6 million, and I just thought everybody else was too. And I started looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so I was so focused on my numbers, and I honestly think that if sales as absolute 100% of why we are at where we are, but I also think that being obsessed with your numbers from the very beginning and letting that drive your decisions to grow your business will tell you what to do. It's absolutely necessary. And so I was like, forgot you said something right before you said that. Now I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. So whenever you are thinking about numbers, the first thing you have to do is number one, track them. If you haven't got there, step 1. Now, everything that we just said past that, you're probably losing your mind. Stop. Just start tracking them. Step number 1. Who cares if they suck? Start tracking them. Then, after you start tracking them and you get a grasp of what they are, whether you're tracking them yourself, whether you're using Dan or whatever you're doing, or a different bookkeeping service, however you're doing it, start tracking them and then bam, get to the bottom of the numbers. But what's overwhelming to me in the cleaning industry, when I started the cleaning software, I pay commission. I didn't know I did know that people paid differently, but whoa. There are so many options because COG is the biggest part of the COG is payroll mates. So the payroll cleaners. So how are you going to change how you pay? Like people get like freaked out on, I can't change the way I pay. I'm like, yeah, you can. You totally change the way you pay. And that's going to be the biggest way to change your COG. And that webinar that I have scheduled on Friday at 2:00, I'm going to dive deep into all the ways that cleaning services pay. And I know because the cleaning software automates all the different ways that you pay. Like maybe you pay by the hour, maybe you pay JTH, maybe you pay commission, maybe you pay both. Maybe you have an admin fee, maybe you don't have an admin fee. Maybe you have a weird thing you do. I don't know. We have like custom payroll formulas to where I can the greatest thing about TCS is that when you do decide to make a payroll change to get that COG number down, which is the most powerful number in your entire business, you can do it with TCS easily without having 22 other spreadsheets and 52 hours of time trying to figure it out. So I just got a question from Sandra that said, "Did you say admin fee?" ? So yes, there is admin fees. But my answer to that isn't clear because it depends how you're paying. So Sandra, if you're paying by the hour, the admin fee really doesn't make two shits because sorry for the cussing, it doesn't make two shits because you're paying by the hour and you're charging the customer what you're charging for. So admin fee wouldn't matter to you. If you're paying commission based, you're paying based off the total price of the job, then an admin fee makes a big difference because if a girl is getting paid, like I'm going to give your example, Todd, that we gave earlier that we worked on with your payroll formula and we're able to like get you, I don't know, we did the math. What'd you say it was 10,000 something a year? Yeah. 10,000 a year. We were able to work out in a formula by saying, okay, total job minus, at 95%, I'm only going to pay the cleaners off of 95% because I'm going to keep 5% of it for myself as an admin fee on all jobs, routine, one time, whatever. 5% goes to me. And then I pay them their commission based after that admin fee. So you can do an admin fee as a flat rate. You can do an admin fee as a percentage. You can do the admin fee, whatever. So that really only applies if you're commission based. Now, if you're JTH is job ticket hour. They get paid for the job ticket hour, no matter how long they take. It's the job ticket hour of this. So we get really crazy detailed into like the cleaning service COGS. And that's what my whole webinar is about at 2:00 on Friday, like breaking down the specific pay structures. Maybe it's a good time, especially if you're 10 and under cleaners, to switch your pay structure. And Todd actually did this recently. And Dan, I'm sure you've had customers that have had to been like, oh gosh, my COGS. One of the biggest things is you got to decide which pay structure you want to go to. I've been able to fix it in admin fees and different things like that, or like creative ways of my admin fees without having to switch to JTH because I waited too long. I'm not going to fight 150 employees on the way they're paid and they're used to it because, bro, nobody's walking off the job. Like I've got to keep those 150 employees. But if I was back at 20 and I would have networked with people instead of just kept to myself forever, I would have changed to JTH because I think JTH is a freaking no-brainer. So my question to you, Dan, is I'm sure you'll be attending the webinar because you have so much free time.
I'm actually at a country music festival, so I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm probably not going to attend it.
It's okay. I'll record it and you can watch it to put yourself to sleep.
That's perfect.
Who's at the festival? Stop everything. Who's at the festival?
What pay structure do you recommend for cleaning service owners? Commission, JTH? What do you do? Hourly?
Todd, Brooks and Dunn, to answer your question. Brooks and Dunn is the closer on like day 3 of the festival. There's some others, but I'm anything that's pay per performance. Like you can do JTH, and I'm with you. Like I didn't do JTH when I had our maid service businesses. But I like it because if you raise prices, you don't automatically give your cleaners an immediate raise, that you have to like decide if that's the right thing or the wrong thing. Percentage works. You just have to be aware that if you raise prices, your cleaners also all get a raise because you're using revenue as the mechanism. We did have, it's kind of same as you, Holly. We had pay per performance, but we had 7 different locations, and one of them was always like 3 percentage points high. And I mean, and same as you said, I'll say, even if you don't know exactly what you're trying to measure, just measure the hell out of it. Like, if you know something is goofy, you might not know exactly what it is. I literally had this call with lawn care guys, and we know maintenance is high, but like, we don't know if it's they got 3 maintenance guys on staff and so on and so forth. And so like, we just got to start peeling the onion back, right? And we did that in our maid service business in St. Louis. We had to keep peeling the onion back to figure out. We dug into every line item on payroll. We dug into every part of COGS. And what it was we had so many long-term employees there. They all had these benefits and these bonuses and this vacation time. And like, no other locations that we had employees that have been with us for 10 to 15 years. So it was never an issue in any other location. But this location we had purchased, and we had a lot of long-time employees. And so like the benefit package we had just got out of control, and we were 3% high on COGS. So we had to, and again, we paid commission, like a percentage style pay. We had to raise, and Holly, same as you. It's like, I'm not even there every day. I live in Minneapolis. Like running that business remote and trying to like keep them engaged was a whole nother challenge. But I sure as hell couldn't go to them and say, hey, just heads up, we got to lower your pay by 3%. You know, it'll be fine. You're all gonna love it. Obviously, didn't do that. We raised our prices 15% and lowered their commission 3% to solve our COGS problem. But mathematically, like, we just tiered it out, and they all got a 5% raise. So the message to the cleaners was, you're all getting a 5% raise. And then they were willing to listen to how this 5% raise was going to manifest itself. But you got to get really creative with like solving those problems if your COGS gets off. And again, it's like, there's just, I mentioned earlier, like there's 3 ways that can go sideways. But if it gets off, you just start losing fast. Like, and it's painful and frustrating. And so it's like none of our businesses will be successful if we don't have cleaners, right? We all know that. We got to like keep them happy. We got to keep that problem solved. But at the end of the day, like, the customer has to be willing to pay us to keep good cleaners, and we got to figure out what that relationship is between how the customer pays us and how we pay the cleaner. They have to be directionally related. If they start to get, again, how you mentioned hourly, I hate paying people hourly if they're producers. Even my bookkeepers, we talked about Skip earlier. I pay Skip a salary. He's a contractor for me, actually. Contractually, I can't hire him for 2 more months, and then I get to hire him if he wants to. He's a hell of a contractor, though. But he gets like a base salary, and at the end of the month, I do a pay per performance true up. And I do that for everybody on our team. Monthly for me, just because that's as fast as I can calculate how much revenue they oversee and produce. But it's no different than maid service. They're just cleaning QuickBooks accounts instead of cleaning houses. But I'll never, if there's a mechanism to measure production, I want my best producers to make the most amount of money. It's the fairest way to do it. However, you know, whether it's job ticket hour, whether it's revenue based commission style pay, I always want to be able to transfer that to them and give them their fair share of their own hard work. So I'm biased because I watch it happen with hundreds of businesses. And I will say, like, hands down, if I see a COGS problem, it's either they're not charging enough or they're paying hourly.
Yep.
And probably it's both. And we all kind of start out that way. We don't know any better. But man, the sooner you can get to some sort of pay per performance where you reward your good employees and your shitty employees quit, and you don't have to fire them because they just don't make any money, so they just quit themselves, it makes your life a lot easier.
Amen. So I'm going to leave y'all. We are getting close to time. I'm going to leave y'all with this question, and then I want to add to what Dan said, if that's okay, because I'm kind of losing my mind on that one. What was the biggest misconception business owners have about profit versus revenue? That's your question, Dan. That's your closing question. Todd and Pam, yours is, if you could give one cleaning owner one piece of advice on COGS, what would it be? So as I go on my little rant about what he just talked about, what did you just talk about again? I'm just joking. I think I was on it.
I blacked out.
I know, I blacked out. I'm like, what is it talking about? As I wrap up, I want y'all to think about the answer to those two questions. I just want to thank you guys so much for this super fun conversation, making it fun. I just don't think people realize how important it is. Like, it is so important to know your numbers. And I think a lot of CBF, like, that does an amazing job at getting down to the bottom of this. Dan's like a vendor for CBF. I think what TCS can help you in the aspect of how to control your COGS. And I'm not usually very salesy, right? If y'all notice when I'm on TCS, I'm educating, I'm empowering. I'm not trying to sell you on any kind of program. I just want you to be like, man, she's got a lot to say. Maybe you should check out her software. But this one fires me up because this is my thing. And this is the most powerful tool that the cleaning software has is payroll. You will not find a CRM out there that can be able to be so customizable and creative enough to be able to make these COG adjustments without you having to change softwares or having to do 42 spreadsheets or having to get, like, it's just insane. So the power of, like, me and Todd spent 10 minutes on a Zoom call and saved him $10,000 today. $1,000 this year by a 10-minute Zoom call and having TCS. So if that doesn't tell you the power of the cleaning software, then I don't know what else to tell you, because power is in payroll.
I got the thing I want you to tell me. I know you can't tell me this yet, but someday I want you to tell me, hey, Dan, yeah, we can work with a window cleaning client or a lawn care client, because the two conversations I had today, I spent 3 hours today building people effing spreadsheets for pay per performance because their CRMs don't do it. And you got to figure out 3 different reports to run to concatenate this and look that up and pull it through this to try to calculate how much pay people should get. And as much as I like building a spreadsheet, I'd much rather just use your badass software and just be like, just use this one and then it'll do it all for you. And you can still, buy me a beer, but
I would honestly say right now, demo, it might actually work. But I'm not going to promise it, but because it's very, very customized for residential industry. But I definitely, our next is carpet cleaning, window cleaning, and lawn service. And we are coming. It's just, I am a perfectionist and I don't want to deliver anything that's going to suck to anybody. And so I don't want to overpromise and under-deliver. But absolutely, if there's a window cleaner or carpet cleaner out there that thinks that this sucks and I need a payroll solution, they may be able to deal with like some maybe quirky stuff in our scheduling that is for a maid service that may be overcomable because the payroll is better. Just let me know. But I'm ready for y'all's answers. Y'all have had time to think about it. And thank you for the COGS making this super exciting. I'm out of wine now because I was totally lying, and I'm going to go pour another glass while y'all prepare for your answer. Who wants to go first? Dan or Pam? Pam, Todd?
Draw straws.
I'm going to go like this. Hold on, wait. Ready? 1, 2.
I vote Pam.
Oh, it's Dan.
Oh, it's Dan?
It was Dan.
So my
eyes were closed.
Okay. So you were asking if I get the question right about revenue versus profit and how to think about that. Mm-hmm. I got two tidbits. One is when we all start out, they feel very similar because we don't have this huge cost structure, right? Like we're just going out and creating our own revenue, and so a lot of it feels like profit. We don't have to pay for a lot of stuff early on. We're just like are buying supplies and cleaning stuff. Don't fool yourself. Two things you need to make sure that you do is you need to charge the market rate.
Say hi, Shelly.
Is that Shelly back there?
Say hi, Shelly. Hi, guys.
What's she even doing back there? Don't fool yourself into thinking you're making a profit when you're charging $30 an hour and it's really just your $30 an hour. Like that's not profit. That's a paycheck for a cleaner. You're making a paycheck. That's not profit, right? That's the revenue and you just happen to be the only expense. So understand the market rate. And even if you don't have all the expenses, charge the damn market rate, right? Like the market rate is the market rate. People are willing to pay 55, 60, depending on the market, more than that per hour for a cleaning company. Just because you're chucking his truck or Mollying or whatever maid. I don't know.
Mollying her maid?
Yeah, I'm just trying to make up alliterative things, alliteration. check it out. It's super fun.
Oh,
But
Lord.
like, just don't build your price based on your costs. The market already determined the price. Charge what the market charges. Be thankful you don't have all the expenses, but know that someday you will. You will have the huge insurance bill. You will have the rent to pay. You will have this $1,000 this, and you'll have the cleaning software to pay for. Like, you're going to have softwares, you're going to have systems, you're going to have marketing people to pay for. You're going to have a nerdy ass bookkeeper to pay for. You don't need all that right away, but don't charge so little you won't be able to afford it later. Like, make sure you charge enough from the get-go. Charge the market rate. And the other thing I see people get stuck on is they think when they start making a profit that it's all profit, but they're not on payroll yet. So you're going to start getting these costs and you're going to be like, here's how much money I have left. Look at all this profit I'm making, but you're not taking a paycheck. So your next step is get taxed as an S Corp, get your ass on payroll, pay a fair wage to yourself, like what you would have to pay somebody else to do that job, then see how much money's left. Because someday you're going to have to pay somebody to do your job. They're not going to work for free like you do. So it's not profit until you take a paycheck and then you see what's left over. That's profit for owner use. So know when you're the operator gets a paycheck. Know when you're the owner gets distributions, mailbox money, and pay yourself both ways. You got to be able to do both. Because if you can't make the profit, go invest in somebody else's business because yours isn't making any money. It's just paying an operator. You just happen to be the operator for a while.
That's super funny. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were almost done.
I am done.
Okay.
I am done. Those are my 2 tidbits.
So my managers get bonused off COGS. Like if their COG is at a certain percentage, they have to qualify with a certain percentage of COGS to be able to get their bonuses, and then they get bonused off the net profit. Well, this past year I got kicked out of my own P&L, and they were like, you don't do anything anymore and your salary is down. Like, we've replaced you. We're not expensing your salary anymore. That's our bonus money that you're jacking with. So I'm like, fine. But whatever.
You graduated. That's
irony.
When you get fired from your own business and they tell you just to be the owner.
But
we'll ask you when we need you, but otherwise.
Yeah. So on that thought, though, at the end of the day, 10% is about average. If you get it right, you can get to 20, but that's going to be pretty tough. I would say realistically in the cleaning service business, I think there are some people out there that are flashing 20 and 25% around out there that are not being truthful. 15% is exceptional. Like to have a cleaning service and be at 15% profit, either paying yourself or not paying yourself, whether you're in it or not in it, 15% would be the goal that you need to strive for to consider yourself very successful. If you're striving for 25, you've lost your mind. I don't know what numbers you're dealing with, but I can just add it together in my head and know something ain't adding up.
Yeah, it's not working, or you're just not growing, right? You're not investing enough in growth. You might be sitting still and cleaning every house yourself. But
yeah, well, that too. Yeah, I guess if you think about it from a small scale, but yes, true. So if you're really, truly trying to work as a CEO and get yourself out of your business, you should be looking at 15% profit. That's damn good. 10 is exceptional. I mean, if 10 is your goal, 15 is exceptional. 20 is, will you call me and let me know what you're doing? Hook me up on a phone call, please.
What it's worth, when Todd and Pam hit 10% net profit, that's green in our books. Like if you get over 10 in maid service net profit after you take a wage, you're green. Keep it going.
I feel like they're getting really stinking close to that, by the way. Or they already are.
We're getting there.
I think it's very close. All right. So, y'alls, what were some practical strategies that can lower your cost? What was your answer to my question? It was the practical or I answered the wrong one. If you, as a cleaning business owner, had one piece of advice on COGS today, what would it be? And then we're going to end the show. I just love talking about COGS, so I didn't have any fun trivia or anything today, but
I mean, if you don't know your COGS, you don't know what you're doing. It's the base of everything you need to do. And like Dan said, if you don't know them, you don't even know what to track, just start tracking something. Track it. And it doesn't really matter what you put in your COGS. Once you put them in there, leave them in there and track it so you can find out stuff. I mean, how do you know if you have profit or not? How do you know if you're paying the right amount? How do you know if you're charging the right amount? You don't know any of it if you don't know your COGS. So once you get your COGS straight, you can straighten out any and everything. So
Amen.
Know them.
Amen.
I'm gonna drop this microphone. I'm just gonna drop it for you, Todd.
Drop the mic. If you need a good software, it's me. If you need a good bookkeeper, it's Dan. And if you need most awesome friends on planet Earth and the sweetest couple on Earth, and anybody that needs cleaning advice in the cleaning industry, they are the best owners to talk to. And they are so practical, so real. And thank you all for being on. And that is a wrap. We are tying up COGS, but do not forget to tune in Friday, 2 o'clock. I'm going to get really geeky, super geeky. All the technicality.
2 o'clock Central Time, or what time zone are we talking here?
Thank you. 2 p.m. Central Time, Facebook. It's the link will be as an event on the Cleaning Software Facebook page. Click the event. The Zoom link will be there. It's a webinar, so it's more of a private event where you can come in and ask questions. I'm going to go through it. Then we're going to talk for several minutes after, probably an hour after that, just answering questions and fielding those COG questions and you learning from other people in a group environment. So we're pumped about it. Our last webinar off of managing managers went really well. I got a lot of good feedback. So I'm going to try to keep this format going of where I have a podcast, follow it up with a webinar, because, on podcasts, we drink wine, we have a good time, we get sidetracked, we talk about all these kinds of things, but then following it up with a webinar to get it on a slideshow and give you a takeaway. So I haven't, go and find that on our Facebook page. It's an event. I'll reshare it. Let's go. I'll reshare it even on this live feed so you can click it and come. So Dan, thank you. Pam, thank you. Y'all can stay on. I'm going to click the live off. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.